I finally snapped and aired out my family's dirty secret. This is a confession from someone you'll never meet. Everyone in this family knows what he did. Many cousins have blocked him, and even my grandmother for her compliance, though some of the main victims are still in contact with them. The other day, after 8 years of pretending everything was normal while watching them bring children around him at family gatherings, I finally broke. I confronted my mother and sister, along with a couple of cousins who also bring their kids, and asked why we still allow him around after everything that happened to us when we were younger. Why is this still happening? My mother responded with talk of forgiveness, saying I can't hold on to hate and negativity because of the devil. She told me that anger would only drag me down, and that I need to let go and forgive. According to her, this negativity is being influenced by the devil. We come from a very Christian family. It only made me angrier. Who is she to tell victims to forgive their abuser, someone who took away parts of our childhoods? Even my mother is a victim in her own way. She said we need to move on, especially after my uncle died around the time the family finally started acknowledging what he had done 8 years ago, which somehow also saved his marriage with my grandmother. Even now, after all these years, I keep learning about more victims in the family. The more I find out, the more convinced I am that my grandmother knew. I know I shouldn't have snapped at my mother, but I told her that he basically got everything he wanted and faced no real consequences. He still gets to be around children even now and continues living with his wife and in his home as if nothing happened. The only reason he was even kept around years ago was because my mother and aunt told everyone he was dying of black lung, saying he only had a few years left and asking us to show him mercy and give him a peaceful time, even though they themselves were among his victims. I confronted my mother and brought everything up, but my sister warned me to be careful because my mother is also a victim, and that the children are supposedly monitored and supervised around him at family gatherings. Still, I can't understand why he is allowed there at all. I stay at these gatherings mainly for the kids, watching over them closely, while he walks in and hugs everyone like nothing ever happened. The law was never involved, and he has lived his life without real consequences, except for when the secret came out 8 years ago and the family broke apart, something that was overshadowed by my uncle's death, which traumatized everyone and is still not spoken about openly. Since then, the situation has been kept tightly hidden, known only to a few close people, while most outsiders remain unaware. He confined his abuse within the family, and my mother even told me I should be grateful I wasn't harmed like others were, and I'm not exaggerating. The only reason I didn't was because I told everyone that he was weird and I didn't like him, and they didn't believe me. They disregarded me like I was nothing. This is coming from me at 4 years old all the way up until I was 13 when it came out. My father has no idea this happened to us. My mother and sister purposely aren't telling him as well. How can I be grateful when in the end the trauma made its circle regardless? I know a lot about what he's done from everyone, and it haunts me to know these things. While he sleeps like a baby, for clarification, he tried to touch me. He felt up under my shirt and came up behind me to try and grope me, skin on skin. I laughed nervously and had backed away, walking off to get my mother to come get me. My mother knows he tried to do this. She did, and confessed she thought exactly what he was trying to do. My 27F ex 26M broke up with me in January after 9 years together because he said I wasn't wife material, and now he suddenly reached out saying he needs to get something off his chest and wants to talk. I don't really understand why he's doing this or whether I should meet him. We were together for 9 years, and honestly I lost myself in the relationship. Nate was my whole world, and I put everything into supporting him, helping him through depression, keeping his grades up, and even working 2 jobs so he could focus on college after his parents cut him off for a while over his major. I was also a college student at the time, but I kept pushing through for both of us. When his parents eventually came back into his life and started supporting him financially, we moved into a new apartment, and that's when things shifted. He told me to quit my job so he could take care of me, but I refused. For about 16 months things felt good, until I started noticing he was more focused on his new friends and would sometimes ignore me completely. Then in December, he suddenly did a complete 180 and started love bombing me. He made Christmas feel incredibly special, and I genuinely thought he was going to propose on January 2nd after a romantic dinner and a speech about me being his first love and how long we'd been together. But no, he dumped me as his speech went on and my world just fell apart. As much as he tried to sugarcoat it, he basically said, "You were a good girlfriend, but that's all you'll ever be to me. I don't see you as my wife or the mother of my children, blah blah. You served your purpose and now I don't need you anymore, blah blah. I need someone on my level, blah blah. You're a gold digger," and then added that he'd give me 30 days to move out. I couldn't even respond, and he just stood there staring at me like he was waiting for a reaction. This went on for about 20 minutes before he finally said he'd sleep in the guest room, and then left. Strangely, I didn't cry or get angry. I just ordered cardboard boxes online and went to bed. The next day I waited for him to leave before I came out of my room. Then I called my boss and basically begged if I could transfer anywhere. She said there wasn't anything right now, but she'd consider it if something opened up in my department. After that I reached out to everyone I knew who wasn't also Nate's friend to find somewhere to stay, and my cousin offered me her spare room immediately so I could move in straight away, which was a huge relief. In the 4 days it took me to pack and move out, I didn't see or speak to Nate at all, and honestly I doubt he even noticed. I didn't trust myself at the time to ignore a "you up" text, so I blocked him, and everyone close to him even changed me number/email to make sure he couldn't reach me. The first night at my cousin's was the night everything hit me. I think I cried every night the first month. I honestly felt like shit. I thought about what Nate said over and over again. It made me feel so low, like I was nothing. He only stayed with me because I was just there, but thankfully my cousin sent for my mom, other cousins and real friends to give me an intervention which I badly needed. I believe that first month I wouldn't have made it without my cousin. I'm still healing and waiting on that job transfer because I feel like if I'm not in the same city as Nate and I have a place of my own, the fresh start would do me the world of good. That I thought by now I'd be a distant memory for Nate, but shockingly he sent flowers to my job today for my birthday, which was on Sunday. Apparently he went to my parents' house looking for me too, and my mom admitted he's been before dropping off stuff and tried to ask questions about me, but they told him to fuck off. The flowers came with a card saying, "Dear Cassie, happy belated birthday. I've been thinking about you for non-stop for the last few months, especially with how everything ended. I need to get something off my chest that I feel will haunt me for the rest of my life if I don't tell you this to your face, but I've no way of contacting you. If it's possible, can we meet up in the near future?" Nate, what could he want? What's haunting him? He needs to say to my face. Everyone in my life is telling me ignore him, but they hate him. I'm torn, but I can't lie. My curiosity is telling me meet him to see what he wants. Has anyone been in my shoes or in Nate's? Some of OOP's comments. Top comment. NGL, I didn't read all that. I just wanted to say, just BC, he needs to say something doesn't mean you need to hear it. I doubt it's anything that would add vodka to your life. He's likely wanting to alleviate guilt for some long ago trespass. OOP. My cousin thinks he tried to monkey branch, and it didn't work out. Monkey branching means he was already emotionally connecting, at least, with someone else before breaking up with OOP commenter. Seems like he cheated on you back in December before the love bombing. Now this dumbass cheater is probably engaged to the affair partner, hence the wife material comment. Fuck him. Let him implode that relationship just like he imploded yours. He's not a good human, and he's trying to make himself feel better about something. He doesn't deserve that, and he doesn't deserve your time or energy. OOP. You know what's pathetic? If he cheated and told me that was the reason he was breaking up with me, wouldn't I don't think it'd have hurt me as much. Get checked for STDs. OP. Oh, I didn't think of that. Now I'm panicking. Drum 123. Besides the STD test, which I agree with because I also suspect he was cheating, let your job know to turn him away if he shows up. The last thing you need is him stalking you. You don't owe him closure. He wants to absolve himself of his guilt by dumping it onto you. It's not your burden to bear. Whatever is torturing him is of his own doing. You have no idea how you'll handle whatever he wants to tell you. What if you slip back into despair? Are you willing to let your curiosity potentially expose you to further emotional trauma? Ultimately, it's up to you to meet up with him. Take some time to process all of this before deciding. Is he blocked everywhere? Blocked on social media, and my accounts are set to private new number, and his number is blocked and deleted. I didn't trust myself for the first few weeks because back in January a "you up" text would have had me running barefoot at 2 a.m. Mini update in comments. April 9th, 2025. He came to my work today looking for me during lunchtime. I told the receptionist say I was out and caught a ride home with a coworker, so I wouldn't met him if he planned to run into me by accident. Update post. April 14th, 2025. 5 days later. 6 from OG post. So we ended up meeting, and no, I didn't go to him. I had told the receptionist at my work if he came looking for just say I'm out for the day after he showed up once. I didn't want the drama of him around my job. So Nate just kept going to my usual places like the grocery store I go every Saturday evening, or the park I ran at Sunday mornings, his words, till he would eventually run into me. And he did yesterday. He was waiting at the coffee shop I go to after my morning run. When I saw him I tried to do turn around and leave, but he kept calling me, so I thought to myself if everything went pear-shaped a coffee shop would be safer than my walk home. So I finally sat down and asked him what he wanted. He started giving me one of those apologies that isn't really an apology. You know, the type full of "I'm sorry but," and endless excuses designed to make you feel sorry for him. He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, basically everyone except himself. I decided to take someone's advice and cut straight through it by saying, "Cut the crap, I already know everything." The look on his face was priceless. He just stared at me in complete shock for a few seconds. I think he assumed his coworker had already told me the whole story, which meant he couldn't get away with lying anymore. The truth was that he had fallen for a woman at his office, and the second he said her name I knew exactly who she was because I'd met her a few times before. He admitted that for the last 2 years he had been idolizing her. To be fair, she's beautiful and has an amazing personality, but he said he had grown to resent me because in his mind, I was the thing standing between them, since she was apparently too classy to be anyone's side piece. After he ended our 9-year relationship, he confessed his love to her and told her he had left me so they could be together. The funny part is that she didn't even like him. She called him a piece of trash and told him that if he ever approached her outside of work again, she would report him to HR. So I asked him what any of this had to do with me. We were over. I had clearly cut ties, and there was no reason for us to be having this conversation. That's when he told me he wanted another chance. He promised we'd be married before the end of the year, and kept insisting that we belong together. I told him absolutely not. I'm nobody's second choice. He threw me away after 9 years, said some incredibly cruel things to me, and now expected me to come running back the second he snapped his fingers. He started begging, forcing out fake tears, and bringing up all the good memories from our relationship. I told him to leave me alone because he had already wasted enough of my time. Then I texted my cousin and asked her to meet me at the coffee shop. During the 20 minutes it took her to get there, he just kept talking nonsense and even suggested that if I agreed to go to couples counseling with him for a few months, he'd leave me alone. Those 20 minutes felt more like 20 years. Eventually I stopped listening altogether and just stood by the counter making small talk with the baristas until my cousin arrived. The second she got there, she told him to fuck off and warned him that if he tried to follow us, she'd call her brothers. As far as I know, he stayed in the coffee shop after we left while my cousin and I went home. It's only been a day, but for the first time since everything happened, I genuinely feel like it's over and that I'm finally free of him. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter: "You're being stalked. Change your routine." OOP: "Yeah, I'm gonna do this as I run at 6 a.m. So not a lot of people around gonna miss that coffee shop though they made the best breakfast wraps. But I'm not taking any chances and I'll go grocery shopping with my cousin." Commenter: "You dodged a bullet. I hope your job has an opening in another city soon." OOP: "Me too, I've been talking to people on here and IRL kinda a bit freaked out with the stories of how bad things can get. Hopefully he will just leave me alone."